TRC EDC back again with another knife video. This is the Grimsmo Norseman. Been waiting a while to do this review and to get this knife in general. Before we get started, I'm going to go ahead and mention that if you are watching this within the first week or so of this video being released, then my 1,000 subscriber video or giveaway is probably still going on. And so I want you to go ahead and go over to that video, make sure you enter, because in addition to 4 other great knives being given away, not 4 other knives in this one, but I have 4 knives being given away, plus this knife, or a knife just like it, the Reeve Sabenza 21 in Damascus, basket weave Damascus with Macassar ebony wood. Now this is mine, this is not the one being given away, but I have one just like it that's being given away in that video. So if you have not yet entered, if you have not yet gone to that video, go to that video now, because you are getting an absolute grail level knife if you win. So there's also 4 other great knives available on that, so go ahead and check that out. Back to one more channel announcement. I've had a couple people talk to me about the sound quality of the video, about sound fading in and out. A lot of that had to do with me not using anything but the speaker from my phone. I'm going to go ahead and change to this format. Let me know if this is better and if any of the sound quality lapses. Okay. In any event, let's go ahead and take a look at the Grimsmo Norseman. So first of all, let's do some size comparisons. Right off the bat, I'll tell you this is a pretty big knife, but not an overly big knife. So if you look right here, you've got the Benchmade Griptilian and the Spyderco Shaman. So you can see it's bigger than the Griptilian, and it's actually bigger than the Shaman in both handle length and blade length. Because it's bigger than the Shaman, it's probably not going to be a surprise that it is also bigger than the Spyderco Para Military 2 and Para 3. And let's take a look at it versus the AD-10. Oop, getting off camera there. So you can see actually the AD-10 is bigger, but it's actually only a little bit longer in blade length, and it's actually shorter in handle length. And just for posterity's sake, because this is a high-end knife, if you're looking to purchase one of these, you might be looking to purchase some of these other ones or already have them. So here is it against the Reeve Sabenza 21 and the Endura Full Track. Here it is against the Shirogorov F95N and the XM18 3.5 inch and XM24. So you can see it's sort of an in-between size between those two. Okay, let's talk about the good and the bad of this knife, because there is both good and bad. I know this has been touted for a long time by some other YouTubers as being just one of the best knives out there, and frankly, it is great, and it is probably one of the best knives out there. But there are some good and bad, and more bad now than there was before, but also more good now than there was before. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. So first of all, first things first, one thing I really love about this knife is the looks of it. That is a deeply personal thing to look at, or to call attention to. Some people will love the looks of this, and some people think it is ugly as sin. And frankly, I think that's by design. This design is more of an artistic design, than in my opinion, more of an artistic design than a functional design. It is still functional in many ways, and we'll get into that later. But it's not quite as functional as some of the other knives on the market. That being said, it's really attractive. I love the looks of this. Now, a little bit of background here. The Grimsmos started their operation in their garage. I think over time they formed it into a much nicer company. They've had really high quality standards and wanted to make sure they had the highest tolerances available, which is really something they're known for on their knives. But what contributes to the look of the knife is a couple of things. One is the distinctive blade shape, which I think is beautiful. Some people will think it's terrible. Another is the handle design. It's both ergonomic, which we'll get into in a bit, but also comes in a variety of styles that most of which are pretty attractive in my opinion. One of them is a contoured diamond-like, contoured, I guess, crosshatch type pattern. This is called the diamond pattern. It's a flat pattern. They also have a flat plain Jane pattern, a flat stonewash pattern. They have honeycomb, reverse honeycomb. I think they have a hex pattern. I'm not sure if that's actually different than the honeycomb. But they have many different types of handles in that regard, or many styles of handles, I should say. The handles are all shaped the same, other than that, and the contouring. The blade comes in a couple different styles. I believe they have, this is the normal satin blade. I believe they also have acid etched and a couple other varieties you can get. And the way they offer their knives, they'll do, they used to be sold out all the time, so you could only get them if you were emailed a link. Now there isn't necessarily a waiting list, so you can go on their website and just buy one directly off their website. They usually have a couple available, or you can wait until you're selected on the email list for either a maker's choice, which means that they get to choose what handle and what blade you're getting, as far as whether it's acid etched or satin, and what style of handle plus what colors and the color of the hardware. But you can also get potentially be given a buyer's choice link, which it will have essentially an inventory of what they have available, of the different types of handles and things like that, and then you sort of mix and match and let them know what you want. So I do think they should offer more buyer's choice, but we'll get to that also in a minute. Now, the thing that really sells this knife to most people, and one of the things that I really love about this knife is the action. The detent is good, and it flies out when you want it to fly out. I mean, it really does. And the other thing is, it's complete drop shut guillotine action, and it will drop shut right in here. There's no bounce out if you unless you're forcing it, and it locks right in, locks into that detent, and it's just great. And there's no, you can see the action on this. There's no, I haven't oiled it, I haven't opened it up, I haven't cleaned it. This is exactly how it came to me, and that's just how it came to me. In any event, some of the things that I really like about it, like I said, the blade shape, the ergonomics. I also really like the clip design on this. It's really well done. It only leaves a little bit of the knife sticking out of your pocket, which is quite nice. The lanyard hole placement is pretty good on here and doesn't really interfere with the clip placement at all. The lanyards actually look pretty good off of this. I'm not a lanyard guy, but that's something to be aware of. The hardware on here is very attractive. You have the Grimsmo hardware here, and it's not round, so it's not gonna move around when you unscrew it. There's no tooling on this side, or slot for a tool on this side. There's only a hex bit on this side, so you have the circle here so that it so that you can unscrew it. But here it's a stationary pivot, because it's that sort of six-sided shape. It's not quite a hexagon, but it looks like it, or it approximates it, a rounded hexagon. Quite nice. Also, I don't know if you can see this, but the screws here are actually made in-house. They have some tooling on it, and they are regular Torx. So even though this is quote-unquote proprietary hardware, you can see that these are all Torx bits, and they're nice large Torx bits. I think they're T9s, which is a really good size. There's no T6s, where you're gonna have problems with bending. So that's another plus for them. Also, the presentation when you get one of these is excellent. It comes in a plastic case, essentially what you would consider a Pelican case. You open that up. Inside a foam cutout is the Norseman. You also get a tube of nano oil and the T9 tool so that you can take it apart. So I think the presentation on it is excellent. I don't have the box with me here today, but it's something you should be aware of. The tooling on it is excellent. Another great thing is that there's the edges on this. There's no sharp edges. These are all knocked down. Every edge possible is knocked down, rounded, and you really notice it. It's the first thing you notice when you pick one of these up, is that literally everything is rounded. I don't think I have another knife that has everything so rounded. The spine here is rounded completely. It's just they do such a good job of rounding everything off, and it's really nice in that hand for that reason. and no sharp edges other than the one you want to be sharp, which is the bottom. It came fairly sharp to me, and like I said, the distinctive milling lines here are quite nice on it as well. It is a hollow grind, and with the thin stock that it has, it really is quite a nice slicer as well. Let's go ahead and take a look at a couple other stocks so you can see what I'm talking about. This is the stock on the Shaman, Spyderco Shaman. This is the stock on the, XM24, which you would expect to be big. But then when you look at the stock on the XM18, you can see that this is still much thinner than the XM18. You can see that this is thinner stock than the Paramilitary 2. And you can see that it's approximately the same size stock as the Benchmade Bugout. So you couple that with the fact that this is hollow ground, and you actually have something that's a really, really, really nice slicer. Another thing that I really like about this, which is a plus and a minus, because it does affect ergonomics a little bit, so I'll tell you that now. I'll knock that out of the way right now. It's not hand filling because it's so thin, but the plus here is that it's so thin. It's so easily carryable. It's very, very lightweight for the size. And so in order to see what I'm talking about, it's thinner than the Spyderco Para 3. It's thinner than the Benchmade Griptilian, if you look at it. It's thinner, excuse me, than the XM18. So you can see, this is quite a thin knife for being so large as well. It's thin stock and a thin knife, which is also pretty noticeable. Now, all right, one other good thing that I want to mention right off the bat, or actually we're pretty far in, but another thing that I want to mention is the thumb stud placement. Thumb stud placement's really, really nice, and it really has a good action opening up off the thumb stud, which is actually my preferred method of opening this. It has both the thumb stud deployment and the flipper tab deployment. The detent is such that both work extremely well, and it's pretty much a perfect detent for either method of opening. Okay, ergonomics on this are really good overall. The jimping on the thumb ramp, despite the, the thumb ramp, despite the rounding, is quite nice. The texturing adds good grip if you get one of the textured versions, and it really is ergonomically pleasant in the hand. I wouldn't say it's the best ergonomic knife I've ever had, but it really is quite nice. I mean, I would highly rate this ergonomically. And so that's something to be aware of as well. Now, I think that's it for the good. I'm going to go ahead and move over into the bad. So a couple of things on the bad. First and foremost, I have to mention the price. So the price on this, brand new retails for somewhere between $900 and $1,100, depending on the options that you get and the options that they make available. That's just a lot of money for a knife. When these first came out, I think, they originally were like $500-600, which, was still high, but somewhat palatable for the higher end collector. Now you're in customs territory when you're at, when you're around $1,000 and up. And, frankly, the market, even though they do sell these new, the market, in my opinion, doesn't really support it. And that's why on the secondary market, when you buy these, they immediately lose their value. And on the secondary market, you can find safe queens or brand new ones that are, just owned by someone already for somewhere around $750, sometimes $700. And if you're patient enough, and you get one, I've seen them go around holidays when people need money and people start selling stuff because they need money. So holidays like Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, the winter holidays, Christmas and other holidays. So around those times, I have seen them as low as $550 to $600, which really goes to show you that's almost half the price of what they're selling for new. So it really doesn't retain its resale value, and it's something to keep in mind. Another thing to keep in mind is, the fact that this thumb stud is only one-sided. Now, I don't mind it but the truth is I'd love it if it was double-sided. So it's a minor nitpick, but it's something you should be aware of. Another thing is the RWL-34. It's a perfectly adequate steel. It is, there's nothing wrong with RWL-34. It's just that at this price range, they really should be using higher end steel, in my opinion. And I think a lot of people would agree with that. That being said, like I said, it's a perfectly fine steel. There is nothing wrong with it. It's just the price you're paying for it is a little out of line with the steel they're using. Another thing to note is, like I was talking about the rounding of the edges earlier, and while the rounding of the spine on the blade is quite nice, and the rounding on the handle is quite nice, they do round. They got a little carried away because they round off. If you can see the flipper tab, if you can see that, so the jimping on the flipper tab is very rounded off, and the flipper tab itself is very rounded off, and it's also a little short. So as a result, it is a very poor push button flipper. It doesn't really work too well, or you end up getting these divots in your finger if you push button it. And if you light switch it, you often get these false starts where you fall off the flipper tab unless you're thinking about it. If you're thinking about it and you get above it and you pull it down, it will deploy 100% of the time because that detent is so good. But the flipper tab is not good in my opinion. It does need a redesign in my opinion. And I think that they should redesign it in a way that will not cause any of these false starts. So that's something to be aware of as well that I wish they would address. They serialize the numbers here, which is great. Something to just note is that if you get an earlier one, they've refined their methods over time. And this is probably something I should have mentioned in the good category, but they've refined their methods over time, and you can often, see if you have a newer one. Usually you have the most up-to-date, edits that they've done on their process. So again, something to be aware of. Okay, I think that's, actually there is one more thing. Sorry, I don't have my notes with me today, guys. I apologize. But the anodization. So I will say this. This is not the best anodization I've ever come across. All anodization fades and changes color when you handle it and reacts to the oils in your skin. This does that as well. This definitely is that way. But I don't know. I think if you look at it, even when I clean it off and it's completely clean, you can see, by the pocket clip, you can see that it's, I don't know if you can see that in the light, but it's a little bit uneven by the pocket clip. There's, and this doesn't go away when you clean it, because usually when you clean anodization, it'll return back to its original color. But it's the light's not really showing it. You'll have to take my word on it, guys. But it's a little splotchy in places on the smooth side. You don't really notice it on the textured side, but on the smooth side, you definitely notice it. So if you get one of the smooth plain Jane ones or stonewash ones and they're anodized, just be aware of that. So that's something to be aware of. Okay, I think that's pretty much it for the Grimsmo Norseman. Thank you guys so much for watching. Do not forget to go to that 1,000 subscriber giveaway and enter if you are watching this shortly after the release of this video. But in the meantime, if you guys are thinking about getting a Grimsmo Norseman, I do recommend it. Just buy it on the secondary market. That's all I have to say about that. It's definitely good. I will say that just on a personal note, and this is just something to be aware of, not good, not bad, but on a personal note, when I first got this, I was a little disappointed. I felt like, it's just two slabs of metal, and the action on this is great. It's guillotine, it falls shut, but it felt like something was hollow or missing on it. And then it took me a while over time to realize it's just done so well that nothing sort of jumps out at you as being the flaw that makes it unique, other than because its uniqueness comes from its appearance and just how well it's put together. So I don't know if that makes any sense to you guys, but over time it grew on me. At first I was a little disappointed. I was thinking, you know what, I'm probably gonna end up selling this. And then after carrying it for a little bit and after warming up to it, it's one of my favorite knives now. So That being said, do not buy it new. I do not recommend buying it new. Buy it on the secondary market. Buy someone's safe green. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Go ahead and subscribe and hit the notification bell. Like the video and drop a comment. Let me know what you think. Bye.